So a lot of times people will call and say, well, what are my closing costs? What are they going to add up to? First of all, you need to understand what closing costs and what prepaids are. Closing costs are any third-party fees that are being associated with getting a mortgage, especially here in Florida. So Florida is considered what they call a high-cost state. And the reason why that is we charge transfer taxes, which are basically intangible tax, mortgage taxes on the mortgage and on the deed. Florida doesn't have state income tax, so that is a revenue stream for the state, and it's charged on any mortgage that goes out there. You also have title insurance. What is title insurance? Title insurance is something that insures us as the lender and you as the owner that they have done their due diligence and made sure that there are no liens, encroachments, any defects on the property. If there are, while the time that you own that property, if there comes up something that the title company missed, they're going to pay for it at their cost to get it cured. You're going to have an appraisal. And what is the appraisal for? Obviously, we want to make sure that what you're buying is worth what you're paying for it. So the appraisal is going to give us an idea that yes, we're within market value. If you go into a contract and the house is worth $300,000, then we would want to see at least that appraisal coming back at $300,000 or more. You don't want to pay for something that's not worth what you're paying for it. So we want to make sure that if it exceeds the contract price, doesn't mean we can lend you more. It just means that you're getting instant equity into the property. But the appraisal is very important because we're really wanting to make sure not only from the lender standpoint, but also from your standpoint as the buyer, that you're not overpaying for that property. So that's kind of a security blanket, letting us know that, yep, the agent's done their due diligence. They've looked at comps. They know, what that house is going to sell for, and they're pricing it right for the market. You're going to have a survey. Survey is strictly that. It is going to go out there and survey the meets and bounds of your property, all the lines. We want to make sure that there's no encroachments on your property so that, your neighbor next door 2 years from now comes back and says, your fence is on my property line, you need to remove it. We're going to make sure all that's done prior to closing so that you're not walking into any type of a hornet's nest. I've seen some people that, their fence literally is 2 inches over on their neighbor's property. The neighbor sells their house, moves out, and the new neighbor moves in, and they don't want your fence on their property, and that's a cost to you. So we want to make sure that your property boundaries and locations of your house and all the structures on your property are within your property lines. We have recording fees to record the mortgage. There are all types of third-party fees. The only cost outside of third-party fees that have nothing to do really with the lender and what the lender's charging would be any type of discount points if you wanted to buy down the interest rate, or maybe you might have an origination cost for underwriting and processing. Everything else are third-party required fees that have nothing to do with the lender, but have everything to do with the cost of getting a mortgage in Florida. I think that's about it, other than some miscellaneous things that you may have some document prep fees, but I would always caution you and just have you remember that when you're looking at closing costs, 95% of the time you can shop it with any lender out there. 99% of them are going to be all the same because they're all based on the amount you're borrowing and how much you're purchasing for the property. So you should, certainly compare, but they're always going to be very, very similar.